Oh, here goes, and welcome to the 144th episode of Throwback Hoops. Woody V's in the house. Please follow this show on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as always, I'm joined by my main man, Robbie Clayton. What's going on, buddy?
Great to be back, Woods. Certainly a podcast I listen to, so it's a pleasure to be back. Another big week as well, right? Plenty to talk about.
Yes, definitely, man. I thought we would cover some WNBL as well this week. The season's well underway, so yeah, really excited and looking forward to getting into it, man. Why don't we kick things off with your jersey for the week?
Sounds good. So a bit of a retro one. I'll stand up and show you who I'm wearing, and then I'll tell a little story about this guy.
And for those who can't see, Robbie's wearing the classic retro Mavs Josh Howard jersey. Love me some Josh Howard, man.
Forgotten about All-Star, I would have thought, Woods.
Yeah, one-time All-Star.
One-time All-Star, but someone that really you don't hear a lot about him. I actually did hear they were talking about him on the Mavs coverage the other day. But a little bit, firstly, lovely jersey, right? I like
awesome.
This one. Nice sort of jersey. So, yeah, this is a green Adidas Dallas Mavs jersey. I think it's, no, I don't know if it was a Harbor Classics. No, it's just a normal one. But, yeah, nice sort of stitched on, everything else like that. As I said, someone that I feel has been pretty much forgotten about. That's why I wanted to talk about him. So, 10 seasons in the NBA, Woods, after getting drafted out of Wake Forest. Who's the most famous draft pick out of Wake Forest?
Tim Duncan.
Absolutely right.
Chris Paul.
Definitely pretty part A and B there. So he was drafted by the Mavs at pick 29 in that famous 2003 NBA draft. So obviously the 2003 NBA draft, for those that are living under a rock, it's the LeBron draft, it's the Carmelo, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Darko Milicic, can't forget him, of course. But 29, that's not a bad pick, right, to get someone that had a decent career there. So, as I mentioned, 10 seasons. He played with the Mavs, Wizards, Jazz, and Wolves. I've got to say, I don't really remember those last two spots there. I can't quite picture him in a Utah jersey for some reason, but hey, he was obviously there. Had a career scoring average of 14.3 in over 500 games. A career high a game high of 47. I nearly made that 50-point club. And look, he last played in 2012 after suffering his second ACL injury in 2 seasons and never played another NBA game after that. So had a number of accolades. He was a one-time All-Star, as we mentioned. He was the All-Rookie second team. Had quite a number of college awards as well. So currently 44 years of age, Woods. He's been the head coach at UNT Dallas University for a number of years now. So give you some memories of Josh Howard. Of course, there's the anthem thing, right? I know that was.
Yeah.
I think he turned his back or something on an anthem once in a sign of protest, and people did not like that, as you can imagine in the US there. But yeah, what are your memories on Mr. Howard?
I just remember those early noughties Mavericks teams that he was on. I think he went to Washington, maybe Utah for a bit afterwards, and I don't really remember much of him there. He played with energy, played with heart. I always thought that his career just ended much too soon, right?
Yeah, and that's it. Those two ACL injuries are going to do that there. So, yeah, but still pretty good. You know, you're an All-Star. You've played over 500 games. You've got a career scoring average of 14.3. So certainly a very solid career there. But yeah, just thought bit of a trip down memory lane with some Josh Howard there. And Woods green's my favourite colour. I think that's maybe why I've always liked Dallas a little bit. So I really like the colours on this one. I think they call it Kelly green or something like that. But it's a nice looking jersey.
I remember we were discussing this draft once, and you said, Woods, can you name all the All-Stars that came out of this draft? And I couldn't get one, and the final one, I finally got it as Josh Howard, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I recommend people look it up on Wikipedia, that draft. There's some amazing names, and don't just look at the first 20 picks. Scroll down into that second round. There's some good names that pop up there. It's one of the better drafts. I think it's definitely top 2, top 3 all time, I would have thought. So, yeah, it's good to still be talking about someone from that draft now.
Awesome. And good to see that he's still involved in the game, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, let me stand up with mine. I know you've already worn this person's jersey on the show before, but since we're doing a little bit of a WNBL theme this week, and I just went to a Flames game, I thought I'd wear it anyway.
So we're just standing up, rocking. Oh, nice. I didn't know you had that one. The Los Nicholson Flames jersey. Nice. I didn't know you got that one, Woods.
I know.
I
didn't. I thought I'd keep that as a surprise for today because I knew you'd be happy.
Instead, we'll have to get a signature on that next year sometime.
For sure. Yeah. She was actually at the game with Tess Madgen and the husband of Kayla George. I didn't want to bother them. They're sort of in their group there. But next time I see her at the game, I'll go and say hi to her for sure.
Like that, yeah.
But it just got me thinking, Robbie. up. I mean, you've started calling a lot of women's basketball and following women's sport in general. We know that Lauren has recently she's got pregnant. Obviously with Jacob Jacomas, both friends of ours. And it got me thinking what a difficult transition it is for some women who have to actually go and give birth and then come back to professional sports. It's not something that we us guys need to worry about, but that must be a difficult transition, right? I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Yeah.
No, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? So, I mean, I'm trying to work out when maybe baby would be due. It would definitely be like later this year. It's not like she's just going to have the baby and then be ready to play straight away. It
Correct.
doesn't quite work that way as we know there. So, yeah, it is interesting. She's in her late sort of 20s, I believe, now as well. So, look, sometimes there's the motivation, right? Sometimes some of these women might have, thought, what, I've achieved a lot in my basketball career now, I want to focus on family. And we've seen a lot of people that can come back. Lauren Jackson's a big example of that. And it was great to see her with her kids at some of those NBL 1 games this year. But you're absolutely right. It's something that, I know she's a very fit sort of person, and I'm sure she'll be wanting to get back on the court and do all those sort of things. But sometimes family is first, right? So I hope, for selfish reasons, she gets back. Because, as I mentioned quite a few times, she's definitely my favourite women's player out there, and geez, the Flames would be wishing that she was suiting up for them this season, right? She's the difference in perhaps them making the finals and not making the finals.
Just about to say, no one would like to see her back on the court more than the Flames. I saw them last week, and they are really missing her service. How's she doing? I know you've got a good relationship with her.
Yeah, she's doing well. Yeah, last time I checked in, pregnancy was going well and everything else like that. I've seen a few recent photos. You can see that the baby bumps there, and her and Jacob are looking really happy. So it's great to sort of see that there. Certainly wish them all the best with baby there. I'm not sure what they're having at this stage, whether it's going to be a boom or a future opal, but we'll keep our eyes on that. But no, it's a massive congrats, and loving the jersey as well.
Thanks, man. Wish both Jacob and Lauren nothing but the best, right?
For sure.
All right, man. So let's. I'm not going to forget about your card of the week this week.
I was about to tell you off if you did. Yeah, right.
All right. What you got for us?
All right. Well, I picked out this card of the week before yesterday afternoon's game, so that sort of maybe gives a bit of a clue who it is. But this week, my card of the week is a 2015 Panini Prizm Montrezl Harrell PSA 9 rookie card. So nice looking card there. So see, it's the Prizm one would. So it's got that kind of nice, almost like a hologram sort of look on it there. So great sort of card of him in that Rockets jersey. I'll read out his little accolades there. There's not much there. So averaged 25 and 13 at Hargrave Military Academy in 2012. Posted 24 points and 12 rebounds versus Philadelphia in Summer League action. He's one of only 2 Cardinals players alongside Terry Rozier, drafted in 2015. 6'8", 240. Played the 2 seasons in Louisville. Sorry, the 1 season in Louisville in college there. But yeah, I really like this one. Got to say, this was a hard card to get, Woods, because you find some of the lesser players. I'm not sort of saying he's a lesser player, but they just don't have these graded cards. Obviously, normally it's the bigger players. So you've got to send that in. You've got to get it graded. So it's a PSA 9, which they consider as mint there, Woods, which is pretty cool. So I thought this is one I had to add to the collection there. But yeah. Certainly in the news for probably all the wrong reasons after yesterday's game. We're probably going to talk about that later.
Of course we are.
Maybe don't need to go into that, but yeah. So Montrezl as well. Does anyone ever call him that?
No. I mean, people call him Harrell and Harrell.
But Montrezl, obviously, his government name there. So Montrezl Harrell there. But yeah, the Harrell one's a bit weird. I know a few of the commentators on ESPN are calling him that. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool card anyway. And it was kind of funny that I picked that a few days ago before the antics of yesterday. So yeah.
Well, that's a good segue. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some NBL. Now, we're going into the FIBA break, so usually we would do a preview of the next round, which we might just hold out till next week, right?
Sure.
But I still wanted to talk about some hot topics in the NBL, and let's start with Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
So yesterday, the game was between United and Adelaide, Melbourne United and Adelaide. Montrezl Harrell hit the floor, got into a little bit of a scuffle with Rob Lowe. Shea Illy came to his defense, and the players were at it, punches were being thrown, it was getting a bit physical. The players got separated, and then Montrez went to sit on the bench, and he was abused by some fans sitting very close to the Adelaide 36ers bench. Now, let me tell you, it's just come out that 4 people were actually ejected, all right? And the abuse that was directed towards Montrez was racial in nature. This is the reports that are coming out. They haven't been substantiated yet. Okay, first of all, it's a 2-part question. Firstly, do you think that Melbourne United or home home stadiums in general need to protect the visiting team by not sitting the fans so close to their bench.
Yeah, I think definitely so. I think that goes a little bit on that Melbourne staff there for not having the right security. To those people that were doing that, and it's alleged at the moment, absolute clowns. That guy they were showing on the coverage with the hood on just looked like an absolute moron, honestly. Just like, we don't need people like this going to our great games there. Ban the guy for life. Let him go and support some other sport, and also, you're wearing a hoodie and it's like 2 weeks out from summer, so what are you doing, mate? Pull your head in. But yeah, ridiculous. I hope they do throw the book at that guy there. But absolutely, there needs to be better security and protection for those away fans there. It shouldn't be like the assistant coaches and, training staff and that they have to almost, stop people from getting that close to the action there. Like at the end of the day, people have just got to. It's like we've talked about before. It's just because you pay your money to go and see a game, right? It doesn't give you a right to do some of the stuff that some of these fans do. Would that 4-foot clown with the hoodie on, would he have done that going down the street with Montrezl Harrell walking towards him? I mean, seriously, you know what I mean? So what gives him a right, just because he's paid for a ticket there, to suddenly think you can abuse players and get away with that sort of stuff? So that's my probably long-winded answer.
Well, once it all comes out, I hope that the NBL and Melbourne United take some action here. Maybe it's a ban or a fine of some sort against the perpetrators.
Ban for life, or if not a very substantial ban, absolutely. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the fallout from the players, right? Now, what do you think is going to happen here? Now, just with Montrezl Harrell, I love him. He's great for the league. He's just a great advertisement for the NBL having Montrezl Harrell here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But sometimes he really does push the envelope, right? And yesterday I thought his behavior left a lot to be desired, right? Yes, he was provoked, but at the same point, earlier in the game, before everything happened, right? You watched the whole game, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you see that he was running down the court and he had an elbow to Bowen's head and just got away with it?
Bowen.
Yeah, Bowen. Sorry. Yeah. So I just thought that it was already brewing beforehand.
He was stepping at the end of the line, wasn't he, with some of the stuff he did. I know you said to me yesterday he'll definitely get a couple of games. Like, firstly, I don't think he will. I think it might be one of those things where it's like some sort of suspended sentence there, like a good behaviour type thing. If you do something else, then you're going to sort of miss some time. With the actual incident. Firstly, I think probably Lowe possibly pulled him down.
Of course he did.
Then I also think that Illy maybe started that as well.
Illy started it for sure.
Like he was the third sort of one involved in that. So that needs to be a little bit to his credit there. Illy, definitely inflamed that situation there. And that was, he's a fiery guy.
Illy's got balls, man.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Man, I would have been doing that and then running the other way, sort of thing. But he had a bit of a smile on his face. Montrezl certainly didn't. But that's something that I think needs to be considered there. I think Lowe pulled him down. Illy inflamed the situation, and then Montrezl Harrell reacted. He's got a pretty good wingspan. He managed to reach over and get a little bit of a hand on Illy's face, and that was definitely one of the contributing factors to him getting ejected there. But yeah, I'm sure they'll have to. In all honesty, would they won't actually? They can probably take their time, can't they? Given it's the FIBA break this week, they can probably really take their time. You think about it. If there was the normal Thursday games there, they probably would have needed to make a call on this tomorrow. They might take their time, work out what they're going to do there. I don't want to see any suspensions come out of this, so hopefully it doesn't happen. But you never know; they might decide to throw a game at him or something. But I do agree with what you said. He was treading a fine line yesterday. He was certainly playing with maybe a little bit more emotion.
I'm not just talking about yesterday. In general, he's a very emotional person, right?
Yeah.
So he lets sometimes the moment get the better of him, and he needs to be able to rein it in. And he's a leader on that team. We mentioned last week a guy like Kendrick Davis looks up to him as a vet, right? He's setting an example for some of the younger guys in the locker room.
No,
so
point.
I'm not being harsh. I'm not being critical. I'm just saying he just needs to watch it, right? All right. Let's talk a little bit about your Wildcats. So Bryce Cotton made a stunning and surprise return to lead your Wildcats to victory against SEM earlier in the round. I think that's a Friday night game, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, Friday game. Yeah.
Yes. And then James Batemon dropped 50 on you guys on Sunday. So it's a tale of two halves, but I think getting that 1-1 record, winning, is not the worst result for you guys, and the Wildcats showed some promise, didn't they?
I think I predicted this with our tips last week, didn't I? I said I thought the Prizm was a danger game and we'd lose that. It's a bit of a worrying trend for the Wildcats. They seem to be getting and eking out these home wins, but struggling on the road there. Starting with Friday, I thought it was a quiet 33 for Bryce, which just shows how good the man is, right? I thought it was maybe Windler's best game in the Reds,
awesome.
So that was good to see. Contributing at both ends, rebounding, hitting some big shots. and some of the, the Manzas and Henschels and those sort of guys were solid as well. So that was promising. But again, look, problems on the road and just problems defending, out the outside shot. I mean, you can't give up basically, what was it, 46 for Golding last week and then 51 for Bateman
in consecutive weeks.
That's a blight on the team there. I mean, they've got to show some pride. Those, twos and threes on that team, guys that should be able to sort of go and defend these guys. To me, like last year, this would have been a Hiram Harris thing. You would have got him and just locking guys up. Hiram Harris just blew 2 layups under the rim yesterday, so I don't think he's the answer to the question there. So it is a concern though. To give up that many points and that many threes. I mean, Bateman was on fire, there's no doubt about it, but they weren't really pushing him out there. They didn't really have a hand in his face. This is where you've got to try things, Wood. And obviously Doolittle being injured maybe made a difference.
That didn't help. Yeah.
You know what I would have done if I was a coach? I would have put Doolittle or Okwera on him for a couple of minutes. Seriously, Okwera's arms are so long he could stand up and touch the roof from sitting down. Why would you not try something like that, right? Put someone with a massive wingspan and just try and make things a little bit tougher for Bateman there. So really needs to work on that in this fever break. Have a bit of a plan B, I would have thought.
I'll tell you what, when he was hunting that 50 points at the very end, right? They were sending 2 men to him, doing whatever they could to stop him. I'm thinking to myself, Coach, you probably could have done this like 2 quarters ago.
Is it wrong as a massive Wildcats fan that I was kind of cheering him on to get that 50 as
no.
well? So I was like, come on, I want him to get a 50 now. So I think that was funny, right? And we saw the photos after the game of him holding up the 50 sign. No, that was pretty cool.
I'll tell you what, there isn't a better human being than James Bateman in the league at the moment. Did you see the press conference afterwards, his interview with Ariana? Every interview he's in, he just cares about the team. He cares about his family, his wife, the culture that is being built at the club. And he was much maligned. In fact, I asked you on episode 2 or 3 in True or False, the Brisbane Bulls should part ways with James Bateman. What did you say? Unequivocally true.
100%. I think everyone said the same, right? I think they kept the faith in there, and they're showing that they were right now as well, right? So no, it's I wish the Wildcats could have maybe signed Mitch Norton for the second half and got him back in the red there, because he might have been someone that could have slowed Bateman down. But yeah, massive effort there. And look, Brisbane are continuing to get a few sneaky wins.
Yeah, they're starting to look decent. Good play from Rocco Zikarsky yesterday as well. His best game ever.
Very good. Yeah.
So yeah, okay, cool. What I'm gonna do is talk to you about Taco Fall now, right? Freddie Gillespie has been released today, and Taco Fall is going to sign with the New Zealand Breakers.
It's funny, I saw that pop up on my phone, something about the 229 centimetre, and I wondered if it was an injury type replacement. So Gillespie's actually been released.
He signed with I think Olympiacos or some European club, and he asked to get out of his contract, and so Taco Fall.
So kind of different. So it wasn't like they put up there, because he was starting to show a bit of form, wasn't he, Gillespie there? So possibly a bit more money on offer there, but. Interesting, big Taco. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see it. This is going to get a few more eyes on the games now, seeing the big man play.
By all reports, he's moved his family to New Zealand, and he was preparing for potentially staying in New Zealand and playing with the team potentially next year, right?
Yeah.
So now that he's already there, he's not quite ready. He's still a few weeks away from playing, but he'll be able to contribute this season.
Interesting. No, it's exciting. Looking forward to see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay, and I just wanted to bring up... One sec. The ladder as it stands, the NBL ladder. We'll just quickly go through that. And for those who can't see, we're going into the FIBA break, as I mentioned, Robbie, and we're at the halfway point of the season. So
a few of the teams are, aren't they? Yeah, well, actually, Melbourne is probably the only one, right?
Yep. So
we're very close, very close.
I'll just quickly go through it. So Melbourne's 10-4 after 14 games in first place. New Zealand in second place at 7-3. Illawarra in third at 7-4, Adelaide in fourth at 6-5, Sydney at 7-6 in fifth place, Perth 6-7 to round out the six, and then you've got Brisbane on 4-6, Southeast Melbourne 5-8, Tasmania 5-8, Cairns 3-9. So looking at this ladder, Robbie, at the end of the season, do you think that the bottom four are going to probably stay as is, and those six would make it?
Look, I mean, popular to say that. I don't think so. I think probably the only team you can put a line through is your second team, Cairns there. I think they've been pretty poor this year. Every team's had injuries, so I don't know that they can use that as an excuse now. They have had perhaps more than other teams, and I just don't like the way they're playing. But you look at teams like Southeast and Brisbane, they've definitely shown over the last few weeks that they can beat some of the better teams. And I don't think we can quite rule out Tasmania yet. Interesting looking at that, Woods. Feels like people are really sort of saying how bad Perth have been this year. The fact that they've won one less game than Sydney, who a lot of people were saying was one of the best lineups in recent years, right? So maybe I don't know whether that's a good thing for Sydney or a good thing for Perth. Looking at that there, but I'm not going to say that. I'd say it still could change. Southeast could get up there. Who knows if Adelaide can continue this form? Maybe last week might have been the start of something, but. Yeah, it's a pretty even ladder though, isn't it? Just seeing the one team that I said you could probably cross the line through, but yeah, it's pretty tight so far.
Yeah, I'll totally agree with you there. And I think our teams, the Wildcats and the Kings, just have not passed the eye test, right?
No.
It's not inconceivable. There's a world we live in where both the Wildcats and the Kings don't make the top 6 this year.
I'm going to say 0 chance of that. There's definitely a chance that one of them could miss out, but there's no way they're both not going to.
Imagine if that happened.
No way.
Okay. But yeah, both our clubs have got to pick up their act in the second half of the year.
Absolutely right, yeah. And what about Cam Oliver? King's going to hold on to that guy or what? Like, I was messaging with our friend Paul Fox, who sits behind the bench of those Hawks games we know, and he said again it was not looking good between Cam and Brian Gorge in there. There's clearly issues there. Sydney are going to have to make a call soon, right? If they want to make a move, I don't know who is out there, what sort of player they're wanting there, but I wonder if something could happen this week. If it doesn't happen this week, it's not going to happen, right?
I don't think it's going to happen. From what I hear from within the camp, yes, he's unhappy at times, but he understands the bigger picture. He wants to be part of a championship organization, so I think he'll stay.
Fair call.
All right. Look, I wanted to get into some NBA talk today as well, or some Hawks talk specifically, Robbie. But I thought every year we have the City Edition jerseys that launch,
looking forward to this, yeah.
So I thought let's go through them. I'm just going to bring them up now.
And I've got to say, Woods, I've got some help with my lovely daughter Emily with this one as well. So I sort of showed her these ones, and this is a bit of a tradition for us now, isn't it? This will be the 4th year we've done this now, where we show these City Edition jerseys. Let me know what you got to say. I've definitely got some thoughts on some of the jerseys this year.
Thanks, my friend. So basically, you sent me another image that didn't actually fit nicely onto a slide, so I had to use this one. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go with the ones that I like first. Shall we do the ones we like first?
Yeah. And then let's do what we like and then ones we don't like.
All right.
Can I say one thing before you start, Woods? For me,
sure.
This is maybe the most underwhelming City Edition jerseys I've seen. I feel like some of these just haven't put a lot of effort in this year. But anyway, that's my sort of thought there. But yeah, who are a couple you like there?
I love sky blue. I mean, orange is my favorite color, but I don't see any orange here. Well, barely, right? So I'm going to go with the Clips and our Atlanta Hawks. I love the white jersey with the blue. It's a nice contrast. And I like the Clips blue as well, the sky blue. So I'm going to go with the Hawks and the Clips as two that I don't mind. Well, I like, yeah.
It's funny, the Clips wasn't on my list, but you're right, that one does look pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know if it's us both putting our Homer hats on their, Woods, but I really like that Hawks jersey. Like, it looks really cool, right?
I'll tell you what, the one from last year...
It had that blue on the side, didn't it?
Yeah, and it was black, though. It was black and blue.
Yeah, it was black, but it had that blue colour there as a side. And actually, the back of that jersey, Woods, if you saw the back of that Hawks one, it's probably half blue and less white on the back. So I'm definitely going to be getting a Dyson Daniels jersey in that colour combination, 100%.
Get two.
All right, done.
All right.
Also, my other one that I like. So I want you to take a guess. Who do you think the other one that I like is there?
I'm going to go with... San Antonio.
No, it's Toronto. I like that one. I like the Toronto one. The big sort of dinosaur on there, the raptor. I think that looks pretty cool. So
we're gonna disagree on that, right?
Oh, interesting. That's gonna be controversial. I've got to say, I saw some of these jerseys with numbers on, and it seemed that's the one on the slide I sent you that didn't sort of work out. It actually looked a bit easy to see how they look with the numbers there. Obviously, it looks a bit weird with the blank space, but yeah, Hawks and Toronto are the two that I like there.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, the reason I had Toronto down on my do not like, it's not that I don't like it. It is a heritage jersey with that logo on there. It's not a City jersey. So I'm not saying it's a bad jersey. It doesn't really fit the bill of this is the City edition, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I put Toronto there. It looks more like a heritage jersey, right? Man, I'm just going to say the other one I don't like is half of these that I can't even tell which team it is, right? I'm not going to point out one specifically. Actually, the Golden State one's terrible. That's just as bad as some of the fakes that you could get in the markets in
the Goa markets.
Goa markets, right? But some of these you don't even know who the teams are. Like,
true.
Who are these guys, right?
And then some of them I feel like we've just seen this jersey. Like for me, when I look at that Utah one, I'm like, come on, we've seen that jersey. So many different versions of that jersey. Well, I've got 3 Woods that I don't like, so I'm going to call them out, right? So Boston. So for me, Boston, that kind of just reminds me of a training jersey, that one.
Yeah.
Or also something you might see some council workers wearing at midnight down, fixing some roads there. Maybe not a big shock I'm going to hate on this one, Woods. The Miami Heat one, it's just awful, right? This Heat culture thing is stupid. Like, it is. And that colour is just boring, right? So don't like that one. And the third one, it is a team I like and it's got a few players there, but I just don't like that Knicks one. It's the same font they had last year. Last year was blue with that same, that font that makes you look like you've had, a couple too many drinks sort of thing there. Yep. I don't like that one either. So yeah, for me, there was probably a lot more that I didn't like as opposed to the ones I did like. Funny, now I'm looking at that Clippers one. I'm sort of with you on that one.
That's
that one
beautiful.
looks cool. It does look pretty cool, but yeah, there's a few that just didn't quite make it this year. It felt a little bit lazy, some of the designs there. So at least that means we won't have to load up and buy a lot of them there. But yeah, give me a Hawks, Dyson Daniels, and maybe give me a Toronto. Who's a random Toronto one?
Abaji.
Jakob Pertl. Yeah, Abaji would be good. So give me Pertl. Yeah.
Jonathan Mobo.
Ooh, that'd be random. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's get into some Hawks talk, man. First, I want to start with where we're at the moment, right? So today we're 6-8 as our record stands. Okay, how have you seen the early part of the season, Robbie? I'd like to get a gauge of where you think our team is at.
Yeah, so the time of recording is Monday the 18th of November, so we just went down to Portland, first of a 4-game West road trip. Pretty disappointing loss. They had a pretty good lead, really good first quarter, and just sort of blew it in that run from the third quarter. Shaden Sharp looked really good for the Blazers. So kind of felt in a way that summed up the season a little bit there, Woods. I think it's been a reasonable start given our injuries, right? So we know every team has injuries. It's not an excuse. But the fact that we haven't had Bogey, who's, the premier six-man in the league, Hunter has missed a lot of games, and the games that he's played we seem to have won as well. So he had his first game back against Washington over the weekend and had a really good game and we won there. So I don't think panic stations yet. I still think they're around that 7 to 10 spot in the East that we've kind of seen them falling into too much over the last few years. I think if they do get healthy, they can go on a bit of a run. We know the East isn't great, so probably best case for me would be maybe a 6th place finish. That could potentially be me being a glass too half full there, but yeah, what were your thoughts?
Look, we're sitting at 7th in the East, as you said, and we've discussed it on the show recently, the weakness in the Eastern Conference this year. Yep. So 6-8 isn't the worst, and then you think about 2 or 3 games which you really should have won, right? 2
games to Washington and a game to Portland,
yep.
and Detroit, so
yep,
they're all games that we had in
4
Chicago,
games.
So yeah.
5. Okay,
yeah.
we're literally like inches away from being maybe 10-3. Yeah,
Sacramento tomorrow and then Golden State on Thursday, Sydney time there. So that's going to be a tough next couple of games, I would have thought.
Right, for sure. Now, I would be remiss without discussing with you the play of our boy Dyson Daniels. He just talked about wanting to get his jersey, and rightfully so. He's been a revelation. So I just want to read out his stats as they stand. All right, so he's got through. He's playing 33.5 minutes a game, averaging 15 points, shooting 47.2% from the field, 3.7 steals, nearly a block a game, 4.6 rebounds, 3.1 assists. I mean, he must be in contention for most improved, all defensive team honors. People are even talking about him being defensive player of the year. And if we want to unpack it even further, he's got about 80-something deflections this year in the NBA. And the next best guy is in the 40s somewhere. It's ridiculous, right?
No, he has been an absolute revelation. I'm just loving the way he goes about it this year. He's really improved that just general defense, and sort of people are. I think when you've got a player like him that plays so hard on D, it's it rubs off on other players there. Look, I did call this after the trade as well, didn't I, Woods? I was really high on this trade. I said to him, "This is better than any first round you're getting this year." The guy is younger than a lot of draft picks in this year's draft. There, great to see him getting the opportunity. Still think he's got a lot of potential, a lot of things he could improve on as well. So. I think we could both say, Woods, as much as we were excited about it, and pleased how none of us expected he'd probably play this well, right? I mean, he's been putting up 27-point games and stuff like that. That little steal streak he had with, was it four straight games with over 6 steals? I think it was second all time to one of the great thieves of the NBA history, and Alvin Robertson there. So great to see. When you were reading out his accolades, I thought you were going to say maybe he's an all-star chance. I was going to say just settle down a little bit there, but yeah, no, certainly. I don't think he'll get Defensive Player of the Year, but he has to be all defensive first team at this stage, right? Matisse Thybulle's made a first team before, right? So
yeah, and I mean, look, he got 25 steals in a 4-game stretch, but before that, he had 23 in the 4 games before that, and that broke a record that has only been done twice, in 2016 and 1999. Those are the last two times, by Robert Covington in 2016 and
Yep.
Kendall Gill in 1999.
Wow, good
23
boy.
steals in a 4-game period, and he actually bettered that by getting another 6. So he made it 25.
I think I read Woods. I think he's so Dyson Daniels himself has more steals than maybe 7 NBA teams this year, which is just a crazy stat to think of it that way. So no, I'm really happy with how he's going. I've said it a few times now. I love when I hear those player introductions and they say, 6'7" guard out of Australia, Dyson Daniels. It gives me a bit of a chill, Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we saw DeJounte Murray and Trey, and it was a good thing for them to try that combination. But they're both ball dominant guards, need the ball in their hands. Dyson Daniels the guy that can play off the ball, wreak havoc,
Yeah.
He sets screens nicely for a guard, he does all the little things, and he's the perfect backcourt companion to put alongside Trey Young, and we're seeing that in the early part of the season.
Absolutely perfect. And lucky he didn't stay in New Orleans as well, because he probably would have got injured, given that every other player on the Pelicans roster seems to be injured at the moment. I don't know what is going on there at the moment, but yeah.
All right. Shall we move on to some? I want to talk about the WNBL. As I said today, let's touch on the WNBL a little bit. So there's one thing I want to read to you, right? A big announcement came out today, Robbie, and I'm just going to read it out to you, and I want to get your thoughts on it, right?
Yeah.
So the Women's National Basketball League, WNBL, is poised for an exciting new chapter with the Wilhelmie Capital Group Syndicate, so the WCGS, and the National Basketball League, the NBL consortium, finalizing the agreement to acquire a majority interest in the league. The consortium will assume control of the WNBL on April 2nd, 2025, with Basketball Australia retaining a minority shareholding. This landmark agreement marks a transformative moment for women's sports in Australia, setting the stage for unprecedented growth, investment, and opportunities in women's basketball. And Larry Kesselman has come out and said, the WNBL is Australia's oldest professional women's sporting league and the pinnacle of women's basketball in this country. It deserves to be showcased on the same level as other elite competitions. This acquisition unlocks an exciting new era of growth, visibility, and opportunity for players, fans, and the sport as a whole. So we had Jacinta on the show recently, and she said once the WNBL falls under this NBL umbrella, it's going to be a game changer. So how do you see this? How do you see the landscape of women's basketball changing with this announcement?
Yeah, I think it's good news, isn't it? I think it's probably something that we needed an announcement like this, didn't we? I know you've got a few sort of thoughts on how the season's going so far. It just feels like a product it's such a good product that needs to get out there more. I know we were both hoping with the success of the WNBA this season, players like Caitlin Clark really seem to increase viewership and merchandise sales and, fantasy comps and all stuff like that. We kind of need that to fall a little bit in Australia and promote our great game there, because we've seen it in women's sports in Australia. We've seen it with, the WAFL and the WNRL and those, WA League,
BBL as well.
Yeah, those sort of ones like that. They're really getting, good viewership. People are really into it and talking about it and stuff. So it hasn't quite happened with the WNBL as yet, has it? Which is a shame. I know we're both hoping it does, but I think it can only be a positive announcement, right?
For sure. Well, I mean, if you get out to Townsville or Perth, you'll see the crowds are good, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in some of the other states, you're not going to get as good crowds, but it comes down to what kind of resources do we have to put into marketing the game properly, getting out there. Maybe we get it right with ESPN to show all the games. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
These are the kind of things, create Supercoach. These are the kind of things that are going to...
Hey, park that one. I've got some thoughts about that later.
Yeah, so go for it.
I think we've got a true and false question about that, so I'm going to save it for that.
Okay, yep, for sure. All right, so I'm just going to bring up the WNBL ladder, Robbie. The season's just started, so I just want to give the audience a little bit of a gauge of where the teams are at and how that ladder's coming together. So let me just bring that up. Okay, you can see that?
Sure can.
All right, so I'm just going to take the viewers that can't see the screen through the ladder. So we got the Spirit at the top with 5 wins and no losses. The Lynx 3-1 in second place. The Fire 2-1 in third place. New club Geelong United playing 500 ball at 2-2 in fourth place. You got the Flyers at 1-2 in fifth. We got my very own Sydney Flames at 1-2 in sixth place, and you got both the Lightning and the UC Caps with no victories yet. So, have you seen the season so far, Robbie? Give me a couple of talking points that you've noticed so far.
Yeah, well, I know you're going to probably talk about it because you saw him play, but for me, it's Bendigo Woods. The only undefeated team at the moment. No team has managed to get close to them yet. So basically, their win so far, they had an 8-point win over Townsville, which was their closest win for the season. They beat Sydney by 19, beat Geelong by 17, beat UC by 23, and beat Adelaide by 14. So they're kind of just dominating the opposition at the moment. We did talk about that with Jacinta as well. We knew obviously they loaded up with that roster. We've got a couple of players that were fresh off playing in the Olympics there, which I know you probably mentioned that you saw last week. But that's definitely the standout thing for me, and they're quite entertaining. What I've seen of them, they're really entertaining. Maybe a second one, and maybe a little bit of one from left field. Woods seen a little bit of the Adelaide Lightning. So American Brianna Turner from Adelaide. She's been someone that's impressed me there. So she's probably been the one bright spot so far for the 0 and 3 Lightning. She's putting up average of 8.3 points and a league high 13.7 boards. And a combined 6 steals, blocks a game. The only sort of knock to her game, her field goal percentage has been pretty low, so currently 34%. But yeah, the 28-year-old WNBA veteran looks really set for another big season. Yeah, a bit of a one from left field I thought I'd bring for you there, but she hasn't impressed me so far. So she's a player with Chicago, I believe, in the WNBA there, and has had a pretty good career over there with some defensive awards and whatnot.
Yeah, looking forward to some Adelaide games potentially on Wednesday nights, that ESPN game of the week. It's always a lot easier to watch that game on the Wednesday than the 9-hour game. So
Wednesday's a good time, I think, as well. I think they've got that right, don't they? Wednesday, you're not really competing with any other sports at all there, so it's decent. Again, just got to market it and get people watching it. But no, it's a good time.
Just don't put a Sydney game on a Wednesday night. I just went last week and there was not that many people there. I thought about less than 1,000 people there. I just felt a bit dull, There was more people.
Less than 1,000 Woods, and they possibly counted everyone twice. Is that what
there was lucky to be 500. Let's be fair. But I've got to say the double header the week before.
Yeah.
Actually saw quite a few Kings fans come in, so it must have been 3,000 in before the Kings game.
Well, that's probably something these teams that have got the NBL teams that share the stadiums, they've got to leverage on a little bit there. Obviously, you can't do it with every team, can you? Can't do it with Townsville, you can't do it with UC Caps, and a couple of those Victorian teams there. But yeah, if you're a team like the Wildcats, the Kings, play some double headers there. I think it's a good way to get fans into the door there. Promote the sports, the men and the women's game together. But yeah, it's concerning, isn't it? You went out to that game. What were your thoughts on that game? Because you obviously saw a red hot Bendigo team.
Yeah, very one-sided game. I enjoyed the experience. The food is a lot better. The catering company that
I know you'd be all up for that. How many hot dogs did you have?
I had a pie. You can't even get a pie at the Kudos Bank Arenas. You can get a pie get a pie at this place. So it was nice. I had a pie and a beer. It was nice. No, really, really exciting to watch Bendigo play. We've got Sammy Whitcomb, who's been acquired by them, and Tolo. What have you thought of those two acquisitions? I mean, that's a game changer, right?
Yeah, Whitcomb's in a real strong run of form, isn't she? I think she had 30 in the last game over the weekend as well. So she's probably that early favourite for MVP. A handful of games so far, but we know those two play really well together with Tolo as well. So yeah, they're certainly the team to beat, aren't they? Maybe Southside Flyers is a team that we need to see get going a little bit. Perth's a team as well that I think do have a good chance, but they've been a little bit up and down, I would have thought. They only just scraped by UC. In fact, the UC Capswoods, they haven't won a game yet, but they've had a couple of tight losses. They've also had a couple of big losses as well. But yeah, hopefully they're not too far away. With players like Nicole Munger and Jade Melbourne there, they've got some talent on that team. So I don't expect them to remain winless for too much longer.
Yeah, and there's a FIBA break as well, I presume, for the women.
I should have done more research on that. I'm not 100% sure. So does that mean there's no game this Wednesday?
Let me have a look. No, Wednesday, 20th of November, there is a game, so it looks like it's just
They must have different breaks there, yeah.
Yep,
are you going to be watching these Boomers games on the FIBA break? Like we mentioned the other week, the Boomers against Thailand in Bangkok. That's going to be a must-watch game, I would have thought. Who's the other game? We're playing someone
Korea? Could it be?
I mean, it'd be interesting just to see some of these, fringe sort of players play. I'll still be tuning in as the basketball sicko that I am, but yeah.
Let me have a look what games they're playing. Yeah, so you got... Yeah. Doesn't really say. I thought it was Korea and Thailand. Do you know what time they are? They're going to be televised?
I believe the Thailand one's a little bit later because Thailand is 4 hours behind at the moment. I think I read it might be about 11 p.m. Sydney time there. So maybe get yourself a pad thai, a pad siu, Penang chicken curry or something that night, Woods, and then watch the game and support the team.
Cool. Yeah, we'll wish him nothing but the best. And for some of these guys who are getting their opportunity to wear the green and gold for the first time, it's a big moment for them, right?
Yeah.
All right, shall we do some true or false?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Let's do it.
First one, the NBA should change the goaltending rule to be in line with FIBA rules.
With you putting in that question, Woods, I think I know your answer. I'm going to say false, though. I actually don't mind this as it currently is. Yeah, I like sort of watching it in the Olympics as well. It gives that bit more excitement, guys that can sort of time and get the ball off the rim. But I don't see the need to change that. So you're different, are you?
I'm going to say true. Yeah. I think I like the ball when it's live on the rim. It gives the defender the chance to tap it off. But yeah, okay. I'm happy with that answer.
You know who I remember doing that from when I was a kid was Willie Simmons from Adelaide. I remember him back in the day. He'd always be able to get the ball off the rim and do these sort of things with his long arms there. So shout out to Willie Simmons.
For sure. Blast from the past. Okay, cool. Duop Reed needs a new NBA team.
That's a massive true. I mean, we saw him shooting just after they came back from half time today. That was probably the only time we really saw him there. I mean, look, he showed some stuff late last year, didn't he? But he's absolutely buried behind three. Let's face it, pretty good bigs, right?
Yeah, Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams. You got the Time Lord, and then you've got DeAndre Ayton as well.
Ayton. So you can say what you want about Ayton, but that's three, pretty solid players there. So he's just not going to find a spot there. Look, you could play him at the 4, possibly. We know he's got a little bit of range and he's still got a bit of size there. But yeah, it's not a great spot for him there. As I said, he really showed something towards the end of last season, but. Yeah, I hope it's not someone that eventually ends up getting cut just because they're excessive bigs there.
If I'm Portland, I'm trading Ayton and Time Lord and building around Klingon and Reith, right?
Is there a market for someone like DeAndre Ayton? I don't know if there is.
Maybe not.
And Time Lord's obviously got the injury history. You're right. Klingon showed some signs. He's a massive human being there. But,
his ability to block shots per minute is ridiculous, right?
Definitely can block shots. Yeah.
All right. Justin Schuller is the right coach for the Brisbane Bullets.
I'm definitely going to say true after that win against the mighty Wildcats yesterday. They would. So, as I said, I do think they are playing a little bit better of late. We need that consistency, I guess, with Brisbane there. They can't just be one of these teams that changes coach, when things start getting a little bit hard for them there. So, I don't think he's doing too bad a job there. I don't think they have the roster that Melbourne, Perth, Sydney, and the Hawks have, for example. But I think he's doing okay there. So I'm going to say true. He is the right coach.
Yeah. Look, the jury remains out, but I'm going to say give him some time before I can say true or false. And the fact that he's building a good culture there and the team really enjoys playing with him means he is doing, ticking some of those right boxes along the way. So I'll reserve judgment. Yeah.
Sure.
And finally, the WNBL needs to do a better job of marketing its product.
Yeah, well, this is one I kind of mentioned, so definitely a true before I go into my answer. So, I mentioned we had Squin on. I think there's even simple things that they could do right. Things that would cost the league bugger all money would. A fantasy comp, would add eyes and ears on the competition. That's a simple thing, right? Perhaps doing more double headers, like we said before NBL games could help there. We know it's not always possible with some of the more regional teams, but I think little things like that, tipping comps, fantasy comps, getting these sort of things that are just going to get the average sort of person on there and getting a bit more interest in the games there. So I don't think that's something that would cost them a lot of money to use those platforms that the NBL use to do these sort of things. I tell you how much more I followed the WNBA this season after playing fantasy. So I think that could translate to the WNBL game. Just something simple like that. There's a lot of people that enjoy the whole fantasy aspect of stuff there. Shout out to the sports blokes who don't enjoy their fantasy. But you know what I mean though, Woods? It's just something that I think, you're watching a game, you're like, oh, cool, I've got a player on this team, a player on that team. Gives you a bit more interest. So that's probably a simple answer. But yeah, definitely true for me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And look, we just talked about the acquisition now of the WNBL falling under the group that the NBL falls under.
Yeah.
So now those resources are going to be available to them as of April 2nd, 2025, right? And I think that the whole business model is going to change. Hopefully they bring in some minds that are going to be able to implement some of these small things that you mentioned that will be able to take the league to the next level. You can't expect it to grow overnight. It's going to be a process, right? But it's going to start here.
Yeah, no, I think so. And let's hope it does as well, because I think, what did you say, they're taking over in April next year as well. So we're still, it's basically this whole season sort of thing. But yeah, maybe some good changes that are imminent anyway.
I think it might be worth you and me getting out to a WNBL game as well at some point, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right, well, awesome show, man. Got to cover a little bit of everything. The Hawks, the City jerseys, the NBL, the WNBL, our cards, our jerseys. Awesome episode, man.
Sure, yeah.
It's been fun chopping it up with you. Before we say bye, do you want to just take the audience through where we can be followed, found, and all that important stuff, Robbie.
Sure thing, bro. So we can be followed on X at Throwbacks Hoops, Instagram throwback.hoops, and email address throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Maybe I'll do the Patreon this week, Wood. So yeah, for those that want to pledge a couple of dollars a month would really help us with the production, all the expenses that that production and editing sort of is for us there. Should mention as well, Woods, we're really starting to edge close to that 10,000 subscribers mark on YouTube, which is just I'm just ecstatic and so so grateful and thankful for all those people that have been with us throughout these 4 years now. It's just been a pleasure doing this each week with you. I know we love doing it. We've both got very busy lives, and well, actually my life's a lot busier than yours, but hey, I won't. That's not a competition. But we both have busy lives and things that we need to do and everything like that. And we do this as a passion. We love doing this each week, and we just really appreciate the support we get from each and every person out there.
Definitely, man. And yeah, look, it doesn't happen without the support we get from our followers and our audience, and they're the ones that keep this show going. All right. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be weird this weekend, isn't it? With what are we going to do Friday night, Woods? I'm so used to just having, if not that standard 9:30 Wildcats game, at least a 7:30 game to watch there. So maybe catch up on some, binge watching TV shows or something like that. But yeah, watch the WNBL, right? This is a week that maybe you can sort of watch a few of these games. I know some of the weekend games will be on some of these obscure free-to-air channels, and that's something that perhaps I need to look at. What are the channels again, Woods?
9 now.
Yeah. No, it's a more random one than that, isn't it?
10 bold.
Yeah, 10 bold. That's the one that I always forget of. Anyway, but yeah, watch the WNBL. Either get out to a game, watch it on TV, and supporting this great product, and enjoy the week.
Yep, and I've got you this week in Yahoo Fantasy. You're coming last, aren't you?
Well, I had a win this week. I have had my 3 best players injured for the whole year, so
Kidding.
No Maxi, no Banchero, but yeah, I'll put up a good fight against you this week.
All right, awesome, man.
Nice.
All right, so from Robbie and I and the whole team at Throwback Hoops, until we do it all again next week, peace out.